A week before my wedding, my future-in-laws took my fiancé on a family trip. He came back acting distant and said, "I think we should take a break." I smiled, handed him a file, and said, "That's funny, because I just got some information on that trip." When he read it, he looked at his parents in pure rage. A week before my wedding, my future-in-laws took my fiancé on a family trip. He came back acting distant and said, "I think we should take a break." I smiled, handed him a file, and said, "That's funny, because I just got some information on that trip." When he read it, he looked at his parents in pure rage. I was supposed to get married last month. Everything was planned. Venue booked, dress ready, guests invited, cake ordered. We spent months putting it together. The whole thing was happening in Savannah, Georgia, where we live. I thought everything was fine. My fiancé, let's call him Derek, and I had been together for 3 years. I honestly thought he was the one. We weren't perfect, but no one is. We didn't fight much. He made me laugh. We wanted the same things. I was happy. His parents? Not so much. His mom, Ruth, is one of those people who looks at you like she's deciding if your shoes are expensive enough to speak to you. His dad, Walter, doesn't say much unless it's to brag about his car or complain about kids these days. They never really liked me. I'm not from some fancy family. I have a normal job. I don't care about golf memberships or which school you went to. I knew they thought Derek could do better, but he always told me not to worry. He said they'd come around. They didn't. About a week before the wedding, Derek told me his parents were taking him on a family trip to Miami. No real reason. Just one last getaway before the wedding. I thought it was weird timing, but I didn't want to start a fight over it. So I said okay. Looking back, I should have known something was off when he seemed way too eager to leave. He barely said goodbye when he left that Thursday. By Saturday night, I knew something was wrong. My best friend Callie lives in Miami. Total coincidence. She works at a bar downtown, the kind of place people go when they want to show off how much money they have. She called me during her shift. "Hey, isn't Derek supposed to be getting married next weekend?" "Yeah, why?" "Well, I think I just saw him with his parents and some girl." My stomach dropped. She said they'd been sitting at one of the VIP tables all night. Derek, his mom, his dad, and some random girl. Young, blonde, fake tan, short dress. Not someone who looked like she just happened to be sitting near them. Callie said Ruth and Walter were all over this girl, laughing with her, asking her questions. Derek wasn't exactly pushing her away, either. That's when it hit me. They didn't just want to get away before the wedding. They wanted Derek to meet someone else. And they were doing it right before I was supposed to marry him. I don't remember much after that call. I sat on my couch in silence for a long time. Then I got mad. Really mad. And when I get mad, I get focused. Sunday morning, I started making calls. Found a private investigator in Miami who specialized in relationship issues. Paid extra to have him follow Derek and his family until they left. By Monday afternoon, I had the first batch of photos. Tuesday, I had video. Wednesday, I had a full report. Restaurants, hotel bar, poolside, shopping, another dinner. Every single event. Derek was next to that girl, holding doors, laughing at her jokes, sitting close. His parents? Encouraging it. There was even a photo of Ruth and Walter walking ahead of them, holding hands like some proud parents, while Derek and this girl lagged behind, whispering to each other. I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. I just waited. Derek got back late Sunday night. Monday morning, he came over. I acted normal, made coffee, asked how the trip was. He was quiet. Jumpy. Wouldn't look me in the eye. Then he said it. "I think we should take a break." I stared at him. A break. 6 days before the wedding. I didn't ask why. I didn't ask what changed. I just smiled. Reached over to the table, grabbed the folder with the photos and the report, and slid it across to him. "That's funny," I said, "because I just got some information on that trip." He opened it. At first, he looked confused. Then his face went white. I watched him flip through the pictures over and over. Like maybe if he looked at them long enough, they'd change. They didn't. And that's when the front door opened. Walter and Ruth walked in like they owned the place. Ruth was carrying a planner. Walter was on his phone. "Hope we're not too early," Ruth said. "We have a lot to go over, Todd." Then she saw Derek's face. And the folder. And me, sitting there with my coffee, watching all of it. Nobody spoke. For a full minute, it was dead silent. Then Derek finally found his voice. "What the hell is this?" He wasn't asking me. He was looking at Ruth and Walter. Walter pretended he didn't hear. Ruth tried to laugh. "Oh, come on. Don't be dramatic." Derek looked back at the folder, then at me. "How did you get these?" I shrugged. "Doesn't matter. You and your parents can figure out what to do next. I'm done." That's where it sits right now. No final decision yet. Wedding's obviously off for now. I haven't even told most of my friends or family. I'm still trying to figure out what to do next. But watching Derek realize his own parents tried to swap me out for someone else, 5 days before we were supposed to say our vows. Let's just say it was the first good moment I'd had in days. The silence after I said I was done hung in the air like a thick fog. Ruth set her planner down on the counter like we were still going to sit down and talk about flowers or seating charts. "Let's not overreact," she said, all smooth and fake like I was being difficult on purpose. "These pictures don't mean anything. We just wanted Derek to meet some new people. That's normal." I looked at Derek. He was still staring at the folder like he was trying to read the words through the pictures. "New people?" I repeated, louder than I meant to. "A week before our wedding? You thought that was normal?" Walter finally looked up from his phone. "Don't make a scene," he said without even blinking. We were thinking long term. We didn't want Derek tied down if there might be better options. I swear I felt the air leave my lungs. Better options. Derek didn't say a word. He just kept flipping through the folder like the outcome might change if he checked again. His face was red now. Embarrassed? Angry? I couldn't tell. "Maybe both. You let them do this," I said to him. "You went along with it." He finally looked up. "It wasn't like that." "What was it like?" I asked. "You thought maybe you'd test drive someone new while your fiancé stayed home finishing the guest list?" He rubbed his forehead like I was the problem. "I just wanted to keep the peace." That's when I laughed. It wasn't even on purpose. It just came out, loud and sharp. "Keep the peace?" I said. "You could have just told me you didn't want to get married. Instead, you flew to Miami to see if someone better came along." Ruth sat down on the couch like she owned the place. "This is getting ridiculous. We didn't tell you because we knew how you'd react. Emotional. Over the top. Look at yourself." I don't even know what came over me, but I picked up the folder, pulled out one of the photos of Derek and the girl, Madison, according to the report, and held it up in Ruth's face. "This is ridiculous," I said. "You brought her on a trip with your son and tried to replace me. How do you not hear yourself?" Walter stood up and straightened his jacket like he was about to leave a board meeting. "You should calm down. This doesn't need to get messy." It was right then that something inside me shifted. "Oh, it's already messy," I said. "And it's about to get worse." I didn't even mean to say it. It just slipped out. But the second I did, I realized I wasn't bluffing. I still had the rest of the pies report sitting on my email. A whole lot more than what I printed. Receipts, room charges, flight changes. I even had a video of Ruth and Madison sitting at the hotel bar while Ruth told her, word for word, "Once this little wedding blows over, you and Derek will have all the time in the world." I hadn't shown Derek that part yet or anyone else. But now I was thinking maybe I should. Derek ran a hand through his hair. "Look, I don't even like Madison. My mom invited her. It wasn't my idea. Did you tell her to leave? Did you tell your parents no?" Silence. "Yeah, thought so." Then Ruth looked straight at Derek, completely ignoring me. "Enough. Don't let her ruin everything. We can fix this. Just tell her you didn't mean it. Get her to calm down and we'll move forward." She actually said that right in front of me. Like I was just a problem to smooth over. That's when Derek finally snapped back to life. "Mom, stop." And for the first time, Ruth looked surprised. "What?" "Stop," Derek said again, quieter this time. "You're making it worse." "Oh, now I'm making it worse?" Ruth shot back. "I'm the one who spent months cleaning up after her bad taste. Do you know how embarrassing this wedding has been for us? The guest list, the menu, the decorations, none of it is up to standard." My head felt like it was going to explode. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I looked right at Derek. "And this is what you're okay with? You're still going to defend them?" He didn't answer. That's when my phone buzzed on the table. I glanced down. It was Callie. Text message, "Girl, I just overheard Madison at the bar. You're not gonna believe what she's saying. Call me ASAP." I locked eyes with Ruth. "I think I'll be making some calls," I said, standing up. "Actually, I think I'll be making a lot of calls." Walter finally decided to speak again. "Let's be reasonable. We don't need to drag this into something public." Too late. Because that's when I got an idea. If Madison was still in Miami running her mouth, I wanted to hear exactly what she was saying. And if Ruth and Walter thought this was going to stay quiet, they had no idea who they were dealing with. I didn't answer Callie's text right away. I just stood there, staring at the three of them sitting in my living room like this was some normal Monday morning. Derek looking guilty. Ruth looking annoyed. Walter pretending he wasn't involved. And all I could think was, what else are they hiding? Because if Madison was still in Miami talking, and Callie thought it was important enough to text me during work, there was more to this. I turned to Derek. "How long have you known Madison?" He shook his head. "I told you. I didn't know her before the trip." Ruth scoffed. "Please stop acting like you're on trial. Nobody did anything wrong." But Derek, he didn't look so sure anymore. I grabbed my phone and walked into the kitchen. "Called Callie. She picked up on the first ring. "Hey, you need to hear this," she said. "Madison's been here all afternoon bragging about how she's finally sealing the deal." I didn't say anything. "And," Callie continued, "she told her friend your wedding was never supposed to happen. Apparently, Ruth promised her that if she got close enough to Derek on the trip, they'd take care of the rest." "Take care of the rest?" I repeated. "Yeah, like, end the wedding. Replace you. Madison's been telling everyone that she was flown out to Miami specifically to break you two up." That's when my heart started pounding. "This wasn't just some random invite," Callie said. "They planned it." I hung up, walked back into the living room, set my phone on the table and looked straight at Ruth. "So," I said, "how much did you pay her?" She blinked. "Excuse me? Madison. How much did you pay her to come on the trip and throw herself at Derek?" Walter shifted in his seat. Derek rubbed his hands over his face. Ruth smiled. "You really are dramatic. I just got off the phone with someone who heard Madison explaining the whole plan. She said you promised her the wedding would be called off, that Derek would be available. So again, how much did you pay her?" Still no answer. Then Derek looked at Ruth and said, quietly, "Wait, did you?" And Ruth, bless her heart, didn't even deny it. She just shrugged. "We gave her a little incentive. Nothing serious. A few gifts. Some spending money. Why are we acting like this is such a crime?" I couldn't believe it. They paid her. Literally paid another woman to help break us up before the wedding. And Derek, he just sat there like he was realizing how deep in it he really was. "I thought you invited her as a friend of the family," he said. Ruth laughed. "Please, you didn't seem to mind her company." Now Derek looked sick. That's when I decided to take it further. "Oh, and by the way," I said, "Madison's been running her mouth all day. If I wanted to, I could share that little story with a few people. Maybe post it online. Maybe send it to the venues. Maybe let the wedding guests know exactly why things are off." Walter cleared his throat. "There's no need for that. Let's not do anything drastic." But I wasn't done. "Drastic?" I said. "You think I'm being drastic? Your family tried to replace me a week before my wedding. And I'm the problem?" And then, like the cherry on top, my phone buzzed again. Another text from Callie. "Just found out Madison's still in town. And she's asking when Derek's coming back." I looked at Derek. "Did you know she stuck around?" He shook his head fast. No, I didn't. I haven't talked to her since the trip, I swear." But now the pieces were clicking into place. Ruth hired Madison to get in Derek's head. Ruth probably promised her more than just spending money. Madison was clearly expecting this to turn into something real. And Derek? Either he was lying or he was clueless. Neither was good. "Tell me the truth," I said to him. "Did you ever want to call off the wedding before Miami?" He hesitated. "Maybe," he finally said. I wasn't sure. And they kept saying, maybe I should see what else is out there." I just nodded. "Cool," I said. "Good to know." Because that was all I needed. I wasn't just dealing with manipulative future in-laws. I was dealing with a man who sat back and watched it happen, then called it keeping the peace. And Madison? Madison wasn't just some girl they invited on a whim. She was part of the plan. A plan that wasn't over. Because if she was still in town waiting for Derek to come crawling back, Ruth's little swap wasn't finished yet. But here's the thing. Neither am I, and now I have all the proof. And now they know I know. And now I'm thinking it's time they finally get what they deserve. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed up just replaying everything over and over. The trip. Madison. The lies. The fact that Derek admitted he wasn't even sure he wanted to marry me before Miami. And now I knew why the whole trip felt off. It was never a family getaway. It was a setup. By morning, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I made a few calls. I forwarded the PI report to my best friend Callie. I texted my maid of honor, Tina, to meet me at the coffee shop near my apartment. I needed backup. "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Tina asked. "Oh, I'm past ready," I said. "It's time they explain themselves in front of everybody." And that's how I ended up inviting Derek, Ruth, Walter, and Madison to the venue the next day. The actual wedding venue. I told them we needed an urgent meeting about the ceremony. Ruth, of course, loved the idea of a last-minute rehearsal. She had no clue what was coming. By noon, everyone was there. The venue staff were setting up chairs for the real wedding, which was supposed to happen in a few days. It felt surreal watching them work while my entire relationship was about to explode. Madison showed up last dressed like she thought she was the bride. Short white dress, heels, makeup like she was heading to a nightclub. When she walked in and saw me, she smirked. "I didn't realize this was a group meeting," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Yeah," I said. "Figured we'd clear the air." Everyone sat down at one of the big round tables meant for the reception. Derek looked exhausted. Walter looked bored. Ruth looked smug. Madison looked like she thought she'd already won. And me? I opened my laptop, connected to the venue's projector, and pulled up the photos from the big screen behind me. First slide, Derek and Madison by the pool. Second slide, Ruth and Madison having drinks. Third slide, Madison kissing Derek on the cheek while Walter watched. Nobody spoke. Then I hit play on the video, the one where Ruth told Madison, word for word, "Once this little wedding blows over, you and Derek will have all the time in the world." The room was silent except for the sound of Ruth's own voice echoing off the walls. When it ended, I turned around. "Anyone want to explain that?" Ruth finally broke. "Oh, grow up. You're making this into a scandal. Nothing happened. Derek didn't cheat. Madison is just a friend." "A friend you paid," I said. "We know. Madison told everyone at the bar in Miami. Half of South Beach knows the plan by now." Madison flipped her hair. "Well, I wouldn't say half. But yeah, it wasn't exactly a secret. Your little wedding was never going to happen. Derek deserves someone who fits in. Someone with class." She actually said that out loud. Tina, who had been quiet until now, let out this sarcastic laugh and muttered, "Jesus Christ." Then Derek stood up, and I thought, maybe for a second, he was about to defend me. But no, he looked at his mom, then at Madison, and then at me, and all he said was, "I think we should all just go our separate ways." That's when I realized he was never going to stand up for me. Not now. Not ever. This wasn't just Ruth's plan. Derek was fine with it. Maybe he didn't come up with the idea, but he let it happen. He watched it happen. He wanted an out, and his parents handed it to him. I closed my laptop, packed it into my bag, and stood up. "Well," I said, "this is the last time any of you will ever see me. Good luck explaining this when people start asking why the wedding's off." And with that, I left. The second I stepped outside, Tina followed. "You handle that like a queen," she said, seriously. "You should have slapped someone, but that was better." Callie called me about 10 minutes later. "You are not going to believe this," she said. "Madison's already posting Instagram stories acting like she just got engaged to Derek. I mean, literally hashtagging things like #future misses and #upgrade. I laughed. Not because it was funny, just because, what else can you do? By the end of the day, words started getting around. People were texting me, asking why the wedding was suddenly canceled. Ruth tried to spin it as mutual differences, but it didn't stick for long. Madison couldn't keep her mouth shut. By the next week, everyone knew. And here's the fallout. Ruth and Walter lost a lot of friends over it. Turns out people don't like being part of a wedding where the groom's parents are caught trying to bribe another woman into replacing the bride. Derek stuck with Madison for about 3 weeks. She bailed as soon as she realized the social status she was promised wasn't real. No wedding, no fancy lifestyle, no cash. Just Derek and his wet cardboard personality. Madison got roasted online. Callie may or may not have shared some of those Miami stories with the right people. And me? Honestly, it hurt. It hurt way more than I wanted to admit. For a long time, I kept wondering what I missed. How I didn't see the signs. How Derek let it get this far. How Ruth and Walter thought they could actually pull this off like we were characters in some soap opera. But once the dust settled, there was this weird peace. I wasn't married to a man who didn't love me. I wasn't tied to a family that thought I wasn't good enough. And instead of spending the weekend crying in my old wedding dress, I spent it with my real friends. We threw the most ridiculous non-wedding party you've ever seen. Champagne, karaoke, even brought my wedding cake and smashed it with forks. And somewhere around midnight, I realized I wasn't sad anymore. I was free, and honestly, that felt better than any wedding ever could.